for Israel, for the region, and for the world.
Now, 6 President Biden is going to Israel. Will American troops be deployed? Plus, what a San Diego-based legal settlement means for migrants along the U.S.-Mexico border.
In this area here, you can almost see the outline of a man wearing a vest.
Ooh, Evan just spent the night at the Whaley House. So has he seen any ghosts? But first, as you're waking up this morning, yeah, there's a bit of fog out there, adding to the spook factor. Here's a live look downtown. We have quite a warm-up on the way.
You're watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
We are going to start here with breaking news. The man suspected of a terror attack at a soccer match in Belgium is now dead after being shot by police. Police say the man shot and killed 2 Swedish nationals last night with, quote, extremist motives.
It happened during our Euro 2024 qualifier soccer match between Belgium and Sweden. Belgium's prime minister says the gunman shot the Swedish supporters after they left a party. The game was shut down for several hours, and the terror threat levels in Brussels was raised to the highest level while police searched for the suspect. A Belgium federal prosecutor's office spokesperson said the gunman claimed to be inspired by the Islamic State in a social media video. A spokesperson said that as of now, there's no link with the Israeli-Palestine war. Today, President Biden will depart Washington to head to Israel. So glad you are with us here in our 6 a.m. hour now. I'm Eric Connard.
And I'm Neda Iranpour. White House officials say the president will express support for Israel and make a push to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. 1,400 people in Israel were killed in the attacks by Hamas, including 30 Americans. And about 2,800 people have been killed by Israel's retaliatory airstrikes in Gaza. Fighting is also intensifying around Israel's border with Lebanon against Iran-backed Hezbollah. President Biden has warned Iran and other outside actors not to take advantage of this conflict, a warning he plans to repeat when he arrives there tomorrow. John Lawrence has more on the president's visit.
As the war between Israel and Hamas escalates, President Joe Biden will meet with Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Wednesday, according to Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
The United States and Israel have agreed to develop a plan that will enable humanitarian aid from donor nations and multilateral organizations to reach civilians in Gaza, and them alone, including the possibility of creating areas to help keep civilians out of harm's way.
Blinken adds that Biden will, quote, reaffirm the United States' solidarity with Israel. That's a stance agreed upon by the Senate's majority and minority leaders.
I will be working with the administration on putting together an emergency supplemental that will give Israel the tools it needs to defend itself.
The surest way to stop violence against Israelis and oppression of Palestinians is to wipe terrorists like Hamas from the face of the earth.
The 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit is headed to the waters off the coast of Israel, and the Pentagon is preparing U.S. troops for a potential deployment to the country for medical and logistical support. But the Biden White House is still looking for a diplomatic solution.
The president still believes, even for all this conflict, he still believes in the promise of a two-state solution, that the Palestinians deserve their own state, a place where they can call home.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
This morning, we are hearing from a San Diego family who is now living in Israel. The Seagull family moved there in July. We spoke with the mother from their bomb shelter inside their home. That's where her son, daughter, and dog hide when the missile sirens sound off. Her husband still lives in San Diego for work. Often isolated, the Seagulls say they pull strength from family and neighbors.
Remembering that we're a family, we're together. Israelis are really strong. People are really supportive. I mean, we just had sirens. People are texting me. I'm texting them.
Despite living in terror, the family has agreed to stay in Israel because of their ties to family, friends, and Jewish faith. The war between Israel and Hamas is changing by the moment, and you can stay up to date with the latest information on our website, cbs8.com, or download our free CBS 8 app.
And right now, House lawmakers are gearing up for a showdown over the speakership. In about 3 hours, they will begin the process to vote on a new leader. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is the current Republican nominee. Since Kevin McCarthy was ousted from the job about 2 weeks ago, Jordan has been shoring up support, but he could still face opposition. There are still at least a dozen House GOP members who oppose him, leaving Jordan short of the needed 217 votes. That has prompted speculation some Republicans may need to cut a deal with Democrats in order to seat a new speaker. This morning, we are learning the federal government has reached a settlement over the separation of migrant families at the border. This San Diego-based lawsuit was settled yesterday between the Biden administration and the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU. CBS 8's Regina Urita joining us live near the border to explain what all of this means now for migrant families. Regina?
Yeah, well, this new settlement forbids the federal government from separating migrant families for an 8-year period, except if family members are considered dangerous for the public or their children. It's also limited to those who have committed a felony. Now, this all started back after a border official separated at least 2,800 children from their parents under former President Donald Trump's zero-tolerance immigration policy. The policy was a key component of the Trump administration's efforts to curb unauthorized immigration. More than 1,000 children were also separated before that rule went into effect in 2018. At that same time, the American Civil Liberties Union sued to halt the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy, saying it caused thousands of children to get separated from their parents, while the adults face criminal prosecution for illegally crossing the border. The agreement filed yesterday in a federal court in San Diego concludes years of negotiations that were part of a class action lawsuit to address the issues and trauma of family separations carried out in 2017 and 2018. If approved, the settlement agreement would provide separated families a special process to request asylum. Border officials would no longer be allowed to use parents' illegal entry into the country as a basis to separate them from their children. The settlement also gives support for families such as temporary housing, medical assistance, and behavioral health services and immigration-related legal services. But it does not provide monetary compensation. However, the settlement could be derailed by Republicans in Congress if they challenge the court's mandate to appropriate money for these services. Now, back here live, the settlement still needs to be reviewed and approved by a district judge. But for now, if it is granted, families could live and work in the U.S. while they wait for the decision of their U.S. Asylum claims. I'm reporting near the border. Regina Urita, CBS 8.
Regina, thank you for that explanation. And that settlement does come amid a new influx of migrants. County Supervisor Jim Desmond says over 19,000 asylum seekers have been processed and dropped off around San Diego in 1 month. People are taken to transit centers so they can then continue their journey and meet up with sponsors throughout the U.S.
New this morning, did an earthquake happen to wake you up? A 3.0 magnitude quake hit off our coast overnight. And here's a map showing where the epicenter was. According to USGS, it happened about 1:30 this morning, around 33 miles southwest of Oceanside. No reports of any injuries or damage right now. Reach out to me on social media if you felt this. This morning, you have more time to file your state and federal taxes. The IRS extended the deadline again to November 16th for most of California. They had originally pushed the April deadline to yesterday because of this year's winter storms. For more information and tips to filing your 2022 tax returns, you can head to CBS8.com. Really enjoyed the forecast that we had here yesterday. Sounds like it's going to be similar, and then we're going to get a little more summer-like on that.
Yeah, very summery for this week. In fact, that's how the Weather Service described it too. Warm summer-like weather on the way. We certainly had a nice one yesterday. This morning, you are waking up to that fog. Patchy fog by the airport heads up to you. We've noticed it throughout various spots in San Diego. Low clouds in that fog, and then ridge turning up the heat Wednesday and Thursday, especially through Friday. And then we start to cool down this weekend with next week a dramatic change in your forecast. I'll explain that in a moment. For now, though, let's show you what's going on with your visibility. In Miramar, it's 1/3 of a mile, so please take your time there driving. Otay Mesa as well, down to a 1/2 mile. Here's the view from Otay Mountain looking out across the South Bay, where it all looks like those clouds are just being pushed down. They literally are, by high pressure pushing them down. 65 degrees, that's at the weather station downtown. La Mesa, you're at 59, 56 right now in El Cajon. zone, 55 in Poway. Here's the afternoon, 85 in Escondido, 84 in Poway. We will all be sitting under sunshine most likely unless the clouds stay stubborn right along the coast, but eventually you should see at least a brief sunny afternoon. 77 downtown, 73 Del Mar, 75 in Carlsbad. Obviously it's warmer for the inland valleys, but not quite 90 degrees today. So this ridging will build. Wednesday, Thursday will be warmer. We're looking at the 90s for inland valleys for the next few days. And then through Friday, that ridge will still be taking over our weather pattern. Beyond that, we have an area of low pressure that will then come. The second half of your weekend will be a lot different. We're looking at cooler weather. Monday, possibly the chance for rain. So we'll get into all that here coming up in just a bit in your 8-day microclimate forecast. For now, though, let's give you a quick check of your border wait time. This is from the Customs and Border Protection website. 105 minutes right now. This is at the San Ysidro port of entry to go from Mexico into San Diego. It'll take you quite a bit of time. Otay Mesa port of entry, a little bit less, but still a long wait, 80 minutes.
Coming up after the break, guys, we are ushering in spooky season by an overnight stay at one of America's most haunted houses. Yeah, it's the Whaley House, and we are officially in the upstairs section. After the break, we'll be talking with the paranormal investigator on what goes on here after hours.